You're listening to the Bloodshed Baddies.
Hi, I'm Lex,
And I'm Sam.
and we're the Bloodshed Baddies.
Hello, 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 baddies.
Good afternoon, evening, morning, midday. Good day, sir.
Or ma'am.
Mostly ma'ams, probably, for being honest.
What did you do this weekend, Lex?
This weekend, Friday, we went out with some friends. Saturday, I don't think I left the couch.
Nice.
It was a rainy day in Nashville, and we watched White Lotus.
Ooh.
And then on Sunday, we went out with some friends for St. Patrick's Day.
Yes, it was just St. Patrick's Day for us, but for you guys, it's like a couple weeks after St. Patty's Day.
What?
But
Oh,
I said for us.
I was like, St. Patrick's Day is different in Florida?
No, for our dear listeners. But for me this weekend, I had a wedding and I just like have decided I'm just such a sucker for weddings. I'm love everything about them. I love, especially when it's like two people that you're like, oh my God, I love them both so much. And then they get married and you're like, oh my God. So I was wondering, Lex, what are your favorite like wedding traditions?
Ooh.
Good question.
So I don't love weddings.
What?
Um, I actually think a lot of the traditions don't make a lot of sense.
Okay, fair, but we can still have some
Yeah.
favorite parts.
But
Well, first, I want you to explain why you don't love weddings.
um I don't so I think like when people have like a ceremony that's not connected to like a church and it's just like very between the two of them, I think like that's more my speed. Whereas I feel like the church is a lot of like it's just like the same as every other wedding to me. And I just feel like I don't know, I don't love it.
Oh,
But
ma.
I love a reception.
Well, that counts too. So, what are your favorite,
Okay.
like, you know how they do certain things that there's traditions at receptions too?
Yes. I do. I love when they do the dance where like everybody goes up and dances, and then if you've been married for less than a day, you get off. And if
Oh,
you've been married
yes.
for less, and then like the you find out the longest couple that's been together. I think that's very cute. I think a great wedding tradition is a late night snack at the wedding.
I agree.
I love a late night snack, especially when you're drinking. I think that's fun. But yeah, like for me, the most fun part about the wedding is celebrating.
Yeah, for sure. And you get to see how many people like support the couple and how many people, even like the bridal party. Like, I know some people have big ones, some people have small ones, but you see how much, for the most part, like they care by doing certain things for the bride, like getting a dress and getting all nice that day and doing a grand entrance and doing an exit and like dancing. And like, it's just like so nice to see people come together, I think, for like love, basically.
I do like the dressing up part too. Like it's nice to have an excuse to dress up for somewhere.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What are your favorite parts? I guess your wedding traditions that you like.
Well, I guess I just realized I'm a sucker for weddings, so I love all parts of weddings.
What was your like
But
fave?
oh my God, my five. I love when people write their own vows. I love hearing like from their mouths what they love and promise each other for sure. I know like
Yeah, I
not
like
everyone
that
can
part
do
too.
that. Yeah. When like the flower girl and ring bearer, the cute little kids just like boop, 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 walking down the aisle, I think that's so adorable. I was like tearing up at this
If they
wedding.
actually make it down the aisle.
That's very true. But I didn't even know the children at this wedding, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm tearing up. And I like the dances, like you said, the anniversary one. I like dancing with the mom, dancing with the dad, dancing with each other. The first dance, I just like, I think I just like everything about it.
Okay.
So I like a wedding. Lexi doesn't like a wedding. And that's our what you learned today about us baddies.
Yes.
So don't invite Lexi to your wedding.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
I will come and have a good time.
Go ahead. I'm sorry though.
Okay. Are you ready to get started?
I am. I don't even know what we're
I was
doing
gonna
for today.
I was gonna try to do a fancy transition, like, well, my girl that I'm talking about today is married, but it doesn't flow. So I feel like lately I've covered like some pretty big cases,
We have been.
and I love to do a lesser known case. So I chose a lesser known case today. We've said it before on the lesser known case. This is the same. There is just not a lot of information out there on these lesser known cases. So this one will be a little bit shorter. But today I am going to talk about the disappearance and murder of Anne Mineko Race.
I do not think I've ever heard this before.
I never heard this before. And it's also kind of older. Like you weren't alive when it happened.
Ooh.
I actually wasn't alive yet either. 2 short months later, though, I would make my entrance into this world.
Oh.
So Anne lived in Newhall, California. She was married to John. John was a former Los Angeles County Sheriff Sergeant
Mm,
who left the force and became a teacher at a school in Compton.
that's
Together, they
nice.
had 3 children. Anne was described as a very loving mother. She was also a planner. She was organized and meticulous.
So kind of like you,
Yes,
Lex.
kind of like me. She was a stay at home mom and she volunteered at her children's school and she volunteered at their church. She loved volunteer work.
So right away, they sound very wholesome. Cop turned teacher, stay-at-home mom, volunteering at church, and being a great mom.
Yes. In 1991, she was 42 years old. She and John had been married for 19 years.
Ooh, incredible.
And unfortunately, this is all the background I could find about who Anne is.
That's disheartening. I don't like when you can't find a lot of
Yes,
background.
me neither. Because I like to like get to know these people. They're people. They're not just stories.
Exactly. But from what you did find, I think we can infer that she seemed like she was volunteering in the neighborhood and through her community and through her church, and she was a good mom. So those are all like great things as well.
She's also an adorable little woman. She was very little and tiny. And she was 42, but her hair had like started going gray. And it's like kind of like in this like poofy late 80s, early 90s afro. It's very cute.
She sounds cute.
On April 18th, 1991, Anne decided to leave John.
Ooh.
It seemed as though she had planned this for a little bit. Friends of hers at the church knew that she and John were struggling in their marriage. So she moved herself and her children into a condo and filed for divorce. Anne was actually having an affair at the time. She was dating an old high school sweetheart. Friends reported that she was super excited to start this next chapter of her life.
Wow. Okay. I definitely did not see that coming, but obviously, like the people in the church said that they knew there were problems within the marriage. And then, I mean, I guess that makes sense.
So, 4 days after Anne leaves on April 22nd, 1991, Anne dropped her 3 children off at John's. Her and John were seen chatting in the driveway for a little bit. Her daughter was hungry, so Anne planned to go to McDonald's, pick up dinner for the kids. She left for McDonald's and she never returned.
Oh my gosh.
I literally cannot find anywhere online who reported her missing or when they reported her missing. All I know is eventually she was, and the police started to investigate.
So, just to help my understanding, she dropped the kids off. She chatted with John, but they were hungry. So, she was going to go get McDonald's, bring it back to the kids, I'm assuming. But she
Yes,
never returned.
never returns.
Wild.
So John claimed to police investigators that he had spoken to Anne just a couple days after she went missing.
Hmm.
She had told him that she was going on an extended trip with her partner.
That can be verified.
He says that he gave her $25,000 to spend on this trip.
What? For what purpose?
Ain't nobody, not even the investigators, buying that story.
Oh, who would give their spouse of 19 years just left them to be with a high school old boyfriend and is going on a trip with them and you said, "Here, let me fund it and give you $25,000 for said trip?" Never in my life.
Wild, wild conclusion.
First off, if that is true, you're no, it's just not even true. I can't even fathom that being any part of being true. Why would you tell somebody that? To make
When the
yourself look
police
good? You look dumb. You do.
Yes. When the police began investigating, they went to Anne's new condo. There was a cold pizza sitting on her kitchen table. This was very odd because Anne's house was extremely clean and it would not be likely for her to leave food out. Also, to me, just saying, doesn't seem like somebody who's going on an extended trip would just leave food out on their kitchen table.
Yeah, who would just leave a whole pizza? Going on vacation. I'm gonna leave out a pizza. That doesn't make any sense, especially if she's a very clean woman.
I literally, my next sentence says, especially someone as meticulous as Anne.
Yes, I would never. I'm like OCD when it comes to cleaning. I would never leave pizza on my kitchen table.
Especially like, okay, I'm running to go get the kids. Not, I'm going on an extended trip and will be gone for months.
Yes, let me go get the kids real quick. I'll leave it out. When I come back, it'll be there. I'm going on an extended trip. I'm leaving a flippin' pizza there. That wouldn't happen.
And also, super organized, meticulous person would print off labels with people's addresses on it when going to a trip. And then she would write them postcards and have those address labels so she could send them to all the people she cared about while she was on her trips.
How cute is that?
Adorable and so forward thinking, right?
Yes,
Like all I have to do is slap this label on it now. I don't have to like carry around an address book back in the day because you weren't, putting addresses in your cell phone.
exactly.
Um, Also, just such a cute little idea. No one she knew received any postcards from this extended trip.
And if this is something that she's known for doing, you would. You would have. It's as simple as that. So to me, I don't know this story at all, but she never went on this trip.
Yes. The investigation also ended up finding Anne's car, which was left abandoned at the park and ride parking lot at the airport.
Okay.
This is where I get very confused. Some sources say they found the car on April 26th, which is only like a couple days after she went missing. Some sources say they found it more than a month after she went missing. I don't know what's true. I don't know what timeline's true, but no matter what, they found the car abandoned at the park and ride parking lot at the airport.
Which is somewhat interesting, mainly because if you're at the airport, you can infer someone was going on a trip. So intriguing.
Yes. Two psychics came forward during the investigation, and the investigators really didn't have any leads, any idea where she could be. So, two psychics came forward and told them to search a canyon nearby for her body. So, they went to the canyon and they dug up and searched several areas of this canyon with no luck. No evidence was ever found.
I love a good psychic. I am one to tend to somewhat believe in some of them, right? But when they start like coming into investigations and nothing's turning up, I think that's so problematic. That's such an issue.
It definitely feels scammy
Yes.
and like you're taking advantage of somebody's trauma
Yes.
and hardship.
Don't love.
Anne's friends also come out and say that Anne actually has told them before that she was afraid of John. She had said that she thought John could kill her and hide the body where no one could ever find it.
Okay, one, if somebody is saying that, then yes, they could. Because people don't say that about spouses that they love and show love unless you're like super cuckoo crazy in the head. But if you're telling your friends that, that is a real concern of yours, that your husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife could do that to you. Also, he has background as a sheriff, right?
Yep.
So she's not wrong about that at all.
Yes.
Hate this.
At this point, investigators highly suspect that John had murdered his wife.
Okay, that's good. That's positive.
With no evidence and no body, though, the case went cold.
No.
But people did not forget.
Good.
15 years later, the case was reopened.
15 years.
In fall of 2006, the grand jury interviewed 19 witnesses, including Anne's three children who were now adults.
Oh my God, the children.
They also dug up John's backyard, hoping to find a body with no such luck. There was still no body and no physical evidence that tied John to the murders.
Do you know what caused them to reopen this case?
I can't find anywhere.
I wonder.
I think there was like a newer deputy that was put on cold cases, and that's how it happened based on the inferences I can make. This is like, remember when I think one of the other cases I talked about where I was like, there's like 5 Google pages and then
Yeah,
it's no more. That's like how this case is.
which is insane. And also, they're getting work done if they're like, let's dig up this man's backyard. 15 years later, let's go.
Yes. And there's like a quote in one of the articles I read from like one of the investigators who was working on the case when it first started. And he was like, I'm glad we got some new blood in there to retry this case. So,
Okay,
what that makes me think is like someone else took over cold cases after he had left and somehow ignited this fire again.
good.
So, there's still no body, still no physical evidence that ties John to the murders. But this time, the grand jury decides there's enough evidence to go to trial.
Yes.
On October 21st, 2006, John steps off a plane from Thailand in LAX and is arrested and charged with the murder of Anne.
Good. Because I was thinking that that was the way this was going. Also, what the poo was he doing in Thailand?
Probably vacationing.
Well, ha ha ha. Vacation ending terribly.
That's all I can think about. Maybe work, but I don't
Maybe.
see why a teacher from Compton would need to go to Thailand.
Yeah. Good point.
So Joanne Race is the oldest of the children. She was 31 at the time of the trial, and she was basically the star witness. She had told the jury that she suspected that her dad did it.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? And I know I always say, can you imagine? But you, I'm assuming, went to live with your dad afterwards. And for 15 years, you suspect him of being the one who did this to your mom. I can't fathom that.
And from what I can understand, there's not a lot of like clear statements from the kids that are out anywhere. Is that while she may have suspected it and possibly like the middle child, the youngest child, they actually didn't even bring up as a witness or to testify. He very much stands by his dad's innocence.
Oh, okay. Okay.
However, despite all of this, in August of 2007, John was convicted of first degree murder.
Convicted
He was sentenced to 25 years to life in state prison.
with little to no evidence, just Joanne talking.
And a couple other witnesses, like the witnesses that came
Oh, yeah.
forward and said that she was afraid of him. But it's mostly witness testimony. It's almost all
That's
witness testimony.
wild.
John continues to maintain his innocence.
Hmm.
While Anne's family was very happy with the verdict, what they really want to know is where her remains are.
Yeah. Put
And
their daughter
those
to
have
rest.
not been found and like till this day.
That's so sad for the family.
So that is the wild short story of Anne Mineko Race's murder. I want to know what you think happened. We are not saying this is what happened. We are doing a super big speculation based on very little to no evidence. And then I'll tell you my theory, but I want to hear yours first.
My first question is, do you know what Joanne testified against the dad? Do we know what she said?
No, basically just that she suspected that her dad did it.
Okay.
I know they asked a lot of questions about like, did you ever see your mom after that?
Okay.
Yada yada yada.
I feel like it's insane because obviously the kids were home, but obviously I do think that it was a just conviction. I do think that because I just think the evidence, even though okay, I guess there's not much evidence, but the fact of his background is what makes me feel like he has a way to do this. I'm even wondering if he had some friends in the police department 15 years, like when it happened. And that's why it took 15 years for new blood to come in and he's not getting favors from the police department anymore and getting convicted. So I feel like he had to have hurt the mom when the kids were downstairs, upstairs, I don't know, in their rooms. I'm assuming as a police officer, very dark, but you know how to hide a body. I don't know how he did it, but I'm assuming you do. I think the main thing that makes me feel like he's part of the problem is him saying he went on this extended trip, which could be verified from the boyfriend, and gave $25,000 because you didn't do that. So I think he was setting up his story, which then made him put the car at the airport. Like he's a police officer, he knows how to do that kind of stuff. That's all I really have because I don't know how, like, that we're seen talking in the driveway. It had to have happened shortly after that, or I'm thinking shortly after that because of the pizza on the table. So it's not like she went home and then came back. That's where I'm at. What are you thinking?
Okay. So I go back and forth between two theories. I do think I forgot to say this during the case, which I know I put it in there. So I must have just skipped over this line. So I really apologize for it. But a couple neighbors did testify that he got in his car and chased after Anne when she left.
Oh,
So I do think like possibly a crime of passion. I chase you down, meet you in the McDonald's parking lot, something goes awry.
yeah.
However, what I can't get over and what sticks in my brain, and you said it too, is this claim that he gave her $25,000.
So ridiculous.
So my mind goes to you're missing $25,000 and need to have an excuse for it.
Yes.
Did he hire
Yes.
a hitman? Did he know? Did they have a plan that she was going to drop them off at his house that day? Okay, the kids are going to come visit you for a little bit this day. And he set up a hitman and paid this hitman $25,000 to follow her from his house and kill her and get rid of her body.
I think that's extremely probable. Extremely probable. If the $25,000 was verified gone, it has to
Which
be.
I don't know if it was or not. But I just think that there's no need to put that in your story if you're saying, like, oh,
No.
she called me and asked me to take care of the kids for an extended time because she wanted to, go on this extended trip. Why would there's no reason to give her the $25,000? And to me, the only reason you would say that is if you knew somebody was going to look into you and notice $25,000 missing.
Was missing. And then I wonder too if that's how, what was the other I don't know if you remember the name, the case you did about the police officer who possibly died by suicide.
Sierra Estrada.
Sierra Estrada. There was not a lot of information on that case either because it's police officers. So I wonder if that's part of the reason why there's not a lot of information out there. I wonder if this missing $25,000 was a big part of the case, but you can't find it. There's no information out there.
Yeah, there's literally nothing about that anywhere besides like the one, like that's what his story was.
And then the thing that also makes me ponder is like him driving, chasing her in the car. He gets in the car and chases her. So like the kids are home, but like how does someone do that in a McDonald's parking lot or do that at her house, which was super clean? Which like yeah, someone could have cleaned it, but she was a meticulous, clean person. So I don't think that's beyond belief that it was just a clean house.
I think no matter what, he had something to do with her death.
Yes.
I
Yes.
think no matter what, he made sure himself or somebody else put that car at the airport to make it look like she did just up and leave her kids.
Yes.
And I think there had to have been more that went on in this case, like at the trial, because I don't just think your daughter saying, yeah, I think my dad did it is enough to get convicted. But I can't find much more information than that. And there is like an episode of some show on Discovery Channel that covers this. And I literally looked everywhere, and season 3 is available to buy. I was going to buy season 2 because it's in season 2, and season 2 is not available for purchase anywhere.
How insane.
Yeah. And I literally went through every single thing that had her name on it and clicked on it. And this is all the information I could come up with.
And if she's also telling her friends, like, I'm afraid for my husband, I'm afraid he might kill me and he would know where to bury the body, there was obvious abuse in the household, which I'm assuming possibly what the daughter talked about as well, the oldest daughter.
Because the oldest daughter was a teenager at this time, right? Because the trial is 15 years later and she was 31.
True. And like, you're
So
not
she was like
young.
16 at the time.
Yeah, she can, I'm sure she senses things going on that the youngest and even maybe even the middle doesn't know yet. So wild. I don't know. I'm kind of mind boggled by this. I obviously think that he had something to do with it. A jury convicted him. I think there was enough there to convict him. I think maybe if he didn't directly do it, indirectly, like you said, hiring a hitman or hiring someone to do it is a huge possibility. It's kind of sad it's not more talked about, especially because the family just wants peace for her and wants to find her remains. So
And it's even
sad.
wild because some of the sources have her date of her going missing a month earlier than what she actually went missing.
What?
And that's like, I could not find an exact timeline. This was just such a weird case for me to research.
That is. Which again, I do think maybe some parts of it is that it was a police officer. People don't
I
want to
wouldn't it
step
be
on the
surprising?
toes. Yeah. Insane. I wish I had more thoughts on this, but I feel like I'm just like, wow. There should be more information out there, is what there should be. And if there should be a way to help this family find her remains, but like I know easier said than done if he's not talking and saying he's innocent still.
Yes. And like, I guess my only hope at this point is like a deathbed confession from him.
Yeah.
Because what do you have to lose at that point? I know, right? Well, I don't even know if anymore. I couldn't find anything about, but I know like when you first get convicted, like maintaining your innocence is great for appeals and stuff. But maybe it just doesn't seem like this guy will to me, but that's my hope for the family.
That's what I agree. Or if like he did hire someone, he can say that, like, which I really see as a strong possibility after you said that. Dang. Short but crazy case.
Yeah. So let us know what you think in the comments or down below on our whatever one you're on. Go to our Instagram.
YouTube
Actually,
booth.
let's just plug all those real fast. We are on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, all at Bloodshed Baddies. We are also on Podbean at bloodshedbaddies.podbean.com. We are on Spotify. We are on Amazon Music. We are on iHeart. We are on Apple. So go follow us everywhere, like us on everywhere, subscribe to us on everywhere, download our episodes, give us a nice review. Say, hey, the baddies are baddies. I don't know, something nice.
Something nice would be fantastic. Also, you could send us an email if you want, just to say hey or a story or a case suggestion because we love those to bloodshedbaddies@gmail.com. We have some suggestions coming your way. So if you did email a suggestion, they're coming. Don't forget our intro music is made by our awesome cousin Vinny. Tell people, tell friends. Thank you so much for listening and tune in.
Tell your enemies, tell anyone.
Text your enemies. I know you hate me, but go listen to the baddies. We would love it.
Yeah.
And tune in next week for a new episode,
A
which is a
Sam
suggestion
case.
one. A Sam suggestion.
Ooh. Well, you didn't suggest it, but
No, a fan. Two baddies did.
yeah, two separate baddies suggested the same case. So I'm excited because I don't think I know about it.
I did not.
So we shall see.
Woo woo woo.
Okay, peace out, Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts.
That's all, folks. We love you.
See you next time.